Just for formalities, can you explain to us your role in the producing of Section 8 Prejudice?
Sure. My name is Brett Norton. I'm the design director here at Timegate Studios, and I handle pretty much everything design related on the project. We also do have additional other lead designers and such, but I sort of oversee all of the design efforts across the project.
Awesome. I know that the beta for Prejudice was released last year, and what were people's general reaction after playing it? What sort of feedback did you get from the audience?
Generally speaking, we were pretty pleased with the release of the PC closed beta. A lot of the old fans, we invited a ton of our community members into it, people that had even beta tested the original Section 8, and virtually all the feedback we've gotten so far has been extremely positive. Everybody's liked the game. Most of the changes have been very well liked. Most of the fans think it's a much improved version of the game. That so far they're all having a blast. We haven't really gotten any strongly negative feedback. We've definitely had plenty of criticisms, found a lot of bugs, found a lot of balance problems, those sorts of things, and that's what the beta test is for. But as far as a lot of the direction changes, gameplay changes, and just general updates to Prejudice, we've generally seen very, very positive feedback.
Okay, what made you guys decide to go digital with Prejudice?
There was just a lot of things. When we started working on the project, we hadn't really finalized how we were going to distribute it yet. We had a really great idea for what we wanted to make for a game, and then as we sort of spent more and more time working on the game, and as things evolved, we started to realize that we could hit a really sweet spot if we went with digital distribution, and so we felt that we would kind of be breaking into a new territory, because a lot of digitally distributed shooters, sometimes don't have a lot of content, or they don't have any kind of single player components or narrative components, and we felt that we were building this really, really impressive game, and if we put it out in the digital space, we had the potential to really become sort of the kings of the digitally distributed shooters.
Yeah, that's really good. What was the motivation behind that, especially the pricing Section 8 Prejudice as an arcade title? Because from the looks of it, Prejudice can stand to be set at full price, so it kind of seems like you guys are taking a loss here. Are you guys really taking that much of a loss?
Well, the margins are often a lot better on digital distribution, and we felt, when we looked at what we could do with the game and where we could place it, that digital would give us a chance to really build just a massive community. I mean, we definitely felt that, originally we were planning for a full retail release, and we've got way, way more content and than we had in the original Section 8, but at the same time, we wanted to have a big critical mass, especially, again, for multiplayer, built on all the platforms we release it. And as we started looking around, we kind of realized that digital distribution and selling the game for like $15, etc., would really, really help build up that huge critical mass and just get us a big community around the game. So even though on a per copy basis we might not make as much money, at the same time we think that we'll sell more copies, we'll build a much better community, and in the end that will really help the lifespan of the game and really help build up that great big multiplayer component that we want to go for. So it felt like a natural fit.
Yeah, that's true, because I asked around in my little community, and I found out that a lot of people who didn't play the original Section 8 are really looking forward to getting Prejudice because of the pricing. And one of the comments that were made was that, for such a cool multiplayer game to be priced so cheaply, that's something that they really want because they feel like they're getting more bang for their buck. So with that being said, what would you want new Section 8 players and new fans to take away from Prejudice?
Well, we hope that they just get in and they have a lot of fun. We've expanded the amount of content. We've got so much stuff going into it. Since we're being distributed online, and we know pretty much everybody who will be playing has a chance to play online, but we also do have, for example, bots where if you even just have like a silver membership for Xbox Live, you can still download and play the game and play all of our various game modes with bots, or if you just want to practice, for example. And we hope that players get in, they have fun, they have fun in the campaign, and when they're playing offline, have fun in the competitive game modes, Conquest, for example. And we hope they really have fun too in the new Swarm game mode as well, which is a lot more cooperative focused. There's just a lot of different ways to play the game, and we really hope that everybody really finds something in the game that they enjoy a lot.
Yeah, talking about Swarm, it's a new addition to Section 8. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so in the original Section 8, we had a couple of different what we call server types, and we had experimented with a few different ones in those. And one of the ones that had really been popular was we had these mods called Super Swarm and Swarm, and they didn't really have any custom game rules, just put a lot of bots against you. But for some reason, it just really latched on. The community loved it. We had a blast with it too. So when we set out to make Prejudice, we're like, we've got to turn this into a full-fledged game mode, do a lot of custom cool stuff with it, and because people just were liking it. So we set it up such that Swarm, you defend a single control point on a map, and it's you and 3 other friendly teammates. And if you can play with humans, or you can play with bot teammates if you're playing solo. But and you have, it's like about a 15-minute time limit. And you start out, you go and you set up to defend the base, and then various waves, and about every 5 minutes will attack the base. And that's kind of fairly standard. It's basically just survive for about 15 minutes. But one of the key things is that you accrue requisition points over time, just like you do in Conquest and back in the original Section 8, and you use those to purchase turrets. You can purchase vehicles, and you can place those turrets and pretty much in a lot of different locations. And that really kind of changes the strategy of how you play Swarm a lot, because where you buy turrets or deployables and what types of turrets and deployables you purchase makes a pretty big impact on the strategy. And as you play on more and more of the harder difficulties, like the hardest one's called Insane, and it's really, really brutal. Like, it matters a lot. A lot of team strategy has to come into play, like where you're going to purchase your turrets, where your teammates are going to put theirs, and what type of positions you take up to defend the area are quite critical.
It sounds like the multiplayer has improved a lot from the original Section 8. And in my opinion, the multiplayer in the original Section 8 was really a standout experience. I really, really enjoyed it, and I still say that that's one of the best multiplayer experiences that I've had in a game, because it forced you to work as a team. So would you agree with that has improved in Prejudice?
Yeah, for the Conquest mode, which is our competitive versus mode, it's one of the key highlights. We retain that kind of strong team focus. We spent a lot of time reviewing pacing and all types of various gameplay factors for Prejudice, but what we really still wanted to retain was this focus on these large, chaotic team battles where you had to work together. You were attacking, defending objectives simultaneously, and there was a lot going on, and you had to really kind of strive together, not just as a solo effort, but you want to have multiple squads, each hitting different objectives, some on defense, some on offense. And we kind of feel that that's like the key sort of component of that game mode. That's what makes Conquest shine, is all of those kind of chaotic factors. And we wanted to kind of bring that experience especially to the console, since there's not really a whole lot of multiplayer shooters out there on the consoles that kind of focus on those big epic team battles. A lot of games you see are really targeted around like 10 or 12 players, but for Prejudice and Section 8 before it, we wanted to sort of bring home that huge team sprawling battle. And we think it's a blast, and we have a lot of fun with it too, obviously, because we're just kind of into these big chaotic battles.
Yeah. I know you guys have been working on the multiplayer aspect of things, but how is the single player story? The first game took around 3 hours to beat. Can we hope for more with Prejudice?
Yeah, the story side, or the campaign side as we call it, has been elaborated and built up much, much more than Section 8. With Section 8, we mostly tried to focus the campaign on a tutorial sort of that kind of taught you how to play multiplayer and introduced you to some of the elements. There wasn't a super deep narrative there, and it was only, like you said, about 3 hours. For Prejudice, it's somewhere around double that. We're saying somewhere between 5 and 6 hours would be our estimate. And we spent considerably more time fleshing out the characters, fleshing out the story. We put a lot more original gameplay content into the campaign as well. We have some great, cool boss battles that occur during it, and we spent a lot more time developing, campaign-focused or single-player narrative content. It's not just a tutorial for multiplayer, even though you'll still learn a lot about how to play various stuff, but the reality is that we wanted to make the campaign a standalone component that people would jump and play through that, have fun. We still want them to play Conquest. We want them to play Swarm, because we feel that those are, core modes to the game, and we feel that you'd be missing out a lot if you didn't play those. But at the same time, we wanted people to, play through the campaign, have fun, enjoy it, and get a chance to experience the story and have fun with the gameplay in that, which is hopefully different enough from Conquest and Swarm.
Going back to the online thing, a lot of people are really stoked about the online stats portal and the clan management and things like that. Also, the dedicated servers being offered for all platforms. Do you see this being supported a couple of years from now?
Yeah, we still plan on continuing support. I mean, we're still continuing support for Section 8. And for Prejudice, we've got the stats portal that we plan to bring that back for Prejudice as well, including all the clan management tools and integrated clans, and maintaining support for all of the dedicated servers across all the platforms. It's a big deal for us, and we want to give the community access to that. It's something that console players especially don't have a lot of access to. I think PC players are kind of more expect that kind of thing, but for the console players to be able to host clan servers and on the consoles, and be able to run admin commands and and set up private matches if you want to, or or scrimmage locally with your teammates is just something it's an important experience that we wanted to bring to the consoles, and so we plan on continuing support for that for a long time.
Yeah, also talking about the continued support, I heard you guys plan on having a substantial downloadable content plan. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I can't go too much into the DLC plans just yet since we're still finalizing them, but we're getting pretty close here on wrapping up Prejudice. We haven't given our final release date yet, but we're far enough down the pipeline that we've already looked heavily at DLC and what type of DLC that we want to provide, and we've gotten a jump start on getting some of that stuff worked on so that we have it ready for release relatively shortly, after the release of the full game, so that there won't be like a huge gap where it's like 9 months after the game comes out, the first DLC pack. It'll be a much shorter time frame. We're aggressively pursuing it. We're basically not finishing the game and then stopping. We're finishing the game and then continuing work here to make sure that we get as much content as we can out to the community.
Nice. You guys are releasing Prejudice in a year that's filled with other great titles. What do you feel sets Prejudice apart from the rest of the other titles that are coming out this year?
Well, part of it's definitely going to be price. I have to mention that since I think that we're coming in at an extremely incredible value. I think that people are just going to want to get the game just from the fact that you're getting so much content and so much fun gameplay out of it for such a great value. And apart from that, like I said, I think that we're still one of the types of games that targets that kind of big community team experience, those large team battles, especially in Conquest, that you don't really get with a lot of other shooters, and we really want to put a lot of emphasis on that. And we hope that by offering all the tons of other content and everything, as well as the cooperative swarm mode, the campaign, and everything, that we're giving people just this really rich, robust experience that they won't really be able to pick up anywhere else. And I think that even for example, even if you're just a huge fan of Swarm, which I'm having a total blast with, I think even that alone would justify the $15 purchase, because it's a lot of fun, and like I said, on the harder difficulties, it's a great challenge. So hopefully everybody out there will just have a blast with it, and then that based on the value, I think they'll just think it's just an amazing deal, and it's going to be really hard for a lot of other games to compete against that, I think.
What about the naysayers? What about the people that compare Section 8? Because Section 8 has gotten a lot of comparisons with other titles in the genre. The game has been called a Crysis knockoff, Halo clone, and also a Halo killer. Do you think these comparisons are misguided?
Well, I think you're going to wind up being compared to any number of other shooters, because people play games, and then after they play a game, they always compare future games versus the ones they played. So we don't take offense to it. Someone says, hey, that looks a little bit like X because I played X, or that looks a little bit like game Y because they played game Y first. You're never going to get away from that. That's just part of the audience and what they like to do and how they compare things. But at the same time, I don't think that we're exactly like any other game. We never set out with Section 8 nor with Prejudice to just make a copy of an existing game plus one. Our design document was not Halo plus one or Crysis plus one. We set out to make the type of experience we wanted to, and yeah, we have some similarities to other games, because I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of found some of the same things that we liked, but I don't think we wound up being exactly like Halo. We're not exactly like Crysis. We're not exactly like Battlefield or anything else. We picked a lot of elements from different games that we liked, and we tried to focus on building the game that we wanted to build, which was somewhere between Tribes and Battlefield and maybe a little bit of Halo, and maybe like Crysis. It was kind of funny because that came out like when we were working on the original one a lot and stuff. So we didn't even know that one was coming out. But I don't think we're fairly close to them at all. And I don't know, Crysis 2 isn't out yet, so I can't compare us to that. So we'll see. They could be making tons of changes, but I think we've stuck to our big team battle stuff, and I think we've stuck to a lot of the stuff that makes us different, the customization, the loadouts, the deployables, and the vehicles. And those are all just kind of features you don't have anywhere else. Like Halo Reach just barely has loadouts into it, and games like the Battlefield games don't have on-demand deployables, and they do have vehicles, but they're always fixed position based more on the maps. They're not player-driven like ours are. So I don't think you're going to get the same experience out of any other game that you would get out of Prejudice. So, I hope we kind of feel that that's our standout point, is that people are going to play Prejudice, they're going to have fun, and they're going to realize at that point, it's like, hey, yeah, it's familiar and I understand it, but at the same time, there's just stuff in there that I can't get anywhere else.
What experience do you hope, the hardcore Section 8 fans get from Prejudice? Because I know Section 8 has a lot of hardcore followers, and I've talked to a few of them, and they definitely have some high expectations for Prejudice. So what experience do you hope that they take away from the game?
Well, we hope that they get in and they have as much fun with Prejudice, and hopefully more than they had with Section 8. We're trying to really, in a way, appease them and really make sure that they feel like, the continuation of the series lives up to their expectations. A lot of them the type of game that they want to play and what they want to see, and everything that we can do to make them feel like they're going to have fun and to try to build a big community, because a lot of them they want to see more players come into the game too. They want to have new faces. They want to play with new people. They want to see new clans spring up and have new competition. So we're putting a big focus on trying to build up a big community. We're really glad that we hope that the digital distribution and the 15 price point really helps them a lot too, where they just get tons and tons of new players. And we hope that all the new content, all the new DCMs, the new vehicle, etc., all the new weapons types and equipment types, we really hope that keeps them happy too, where they've got a lot of new toys to explore, a lot of new things that just weren't in Section 8, and that kind of engages them mentally and really kind of keeps them challenged and thinking about the game and how to min-max it, kind of, since that's always what your hardcore players like to do.
All right, so to set the record straight, you guys haven't publicized the firm release date for Prejudice yet, right?
Now, we have not actually put out a release date, although we are still targeting Q1 of 2011, so not too far off one way or the other.
Yeah, so true, so true. This all sounds so good, and I just really want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to us, and I'm sure our fans are going to appreciate this. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. I'm glad for having me on here.